EFC 91, the main event. This is one I'm super intrigued, but I know you're going to say, but oh, we've seen it before. We have seen it before, but I'm still excited about this one, and I'm going to go through exactly why and where I'm meaning at this one. Obviously, we know this fight happened not so long ago. Zulu Boy missed weight. He won the fight, but because he missed weight, he couldn't win the title. So for me, and so it's played out, the most obvious option was to run it back immediately. This is a strange one, and I'm going to explain to you why. If you look at the makeup of Zulu Boy, who's very well known as one of the best strikers we've possibly seen in the UFC. Prime Zulu was quite famous and a scary dude to face. And if you look at Lutando Biko, who's very well known for a grappling heavy approach, grinding it out, getting the decision win. Fast forward to them fighting, Zulu misses weight, they have the fight, and Lutando Biko loses by submission, which kind of took most people by surprise, I think, including myself. Now, if you're Lutando Biko, you're looking at the situation, you've got to rematch the same guy, and you thought the obvious approach at that time was to get it to the ground and grind it out, and top position and top control, and win the fight from there. Maybe some ground and pound, maybe get ground and pound stoppage, maybe you get a submission. You're the submission guy or the grappling guy, and then you get choked out by the stand-up guy. Now you've got to rerun that fight, and psychologically you've got that in the back of your mind that you just lost by submission to the same guy. But if you stand with a guy who's got a reach advantage, who's got powerful kicks, and he'll use those kicks at range, but at the same time there's a threat that you have been submitted by this guy, it makes it very tough for Lutando Biko, I think, psychologically, and how you plan for this fight. What do? Do you go back to the drawing board and just refine the way you apply that wrestling or grappling based strategy, or do you come with something completely new? Lutando's stand-up has seen some massive improvements. I think it's one of the parts of his game that's really stood out for big improvements. We saw against Souza how good his stand-up was. The only major difference there, he was with a guy that was matching him for height and reach, which made it that much easier to engage in those red zones, to get into the pocket and to stay in the pocket, throw and get out. With Zulu Boy, it's slightly different because of the kicks and the way his kicks are delivered and how long his kicks are and powerful. You can't sit in those red zones with Zulu, and especially not in a kicking range, because you're going to pay the price. And then you've got to get it to the deck, and Zulu just seems to be submitting people left, right and center. So yes, it's a rematch. Yes, we've kind of seen it play out, but this one is massively intriguing. You've got one guy in Zulu who'll be filled to the brim with confidence that he just beat this guy technically at his own game, and then you've got Lutando Biko, who's got to go and face those demons and figure out a new way to beat Zulu Boy, and I think the numbers are quite interesting. Obviously Zulu Boy, he's been in, his list is long. He's 17 odd pro fights, majority of them with the EFC. He's got a 91% finish rate. I think his last 3 victories in the EFC have actually been by submission. We'll get into the numbers, but he's got a high list of submission wins in the EFC already. The stand-up guy with all the submission wins. So yeah, it's massively exciting on how these numbers actually pan out. Zulu Boy, I don't think he's ever been stopped. He's only ever lost 2 decisions. So yeah, interesting one. Let's take a look at the numbers and what we find there. Obviously, I spoke about Zulu Boys never being defeated, or never been stopped, I should say. So 6 KOs and 5 subs with a 92% finish rate, 6 title fights in the EFC, 100% finish rate in his last 5 wins, never been stopped, and 13 wins as a pro. If we look at Lutando Biko on the other side, 88% of his decisions are wins. He's got a 12% finish rate. That one stoppage he's got in his record happened in 4 minutes 40 seconds. He is a former champ, and he's won 3 out of the last 4. So interesting numbers there, and they do tell quite a story. obviously Zulu is the go forward kind of guy who really hunts the finish, and we've seen there's been a lot of submissions, triangles, guillotines. I remember the 10 finger choke or the basket choke against Gary Joshua, who's also a legitimate brown belt in jiu-jitsu. So Zulu's game is definitely evolving. We're actually seeing less of his stand-up, which is quite dangerous if you think about it. He's gone back to Durban. He's training with Clint Walters, where they would be doing a lot of Muay Thai. It'll be interesting to see what sort of Zulu we get to see. Lutando's obviously got the harder part here, where he's really got to figure out his game plan and make adjustments from what he saw in the time he was in there before he got submitted. And that's going to be super interesting. The tail of the tapes, obviously Zulu boy's record, he's got a lot more experience, the ages are similar. Zulu's got the advantage in height. We obviously know Lutando, they don't call him shorty for nothing. Advantage in reach and height for Zulu boy, which we know. I don't think we have to talk about how Biko closes the distance. I think we've seen how he's going to do it, and he is pretty good at it. He likes to throw a bit of an overhand roll under and get his hands on you. He's figured out, he's been doing it for a long time, he's figured out how to close the distance. The interesting question for Lutando Biko is, what does he do once he closes the distance? Does he take it to the deck? Does he disengage? Does he try and clinch a little bit more on the fence, try and make Zulu tired, try and wear on him? I think that would be the obvious way forward. But yeah, again, have to make a pick. I'm gonna lean on Zulu boy just based on the fact that he has done it already, and I think he just has a couple more tricks up his sleeves these days. But it's a hell of an interesting fight, man. I think us as fans will be the winners in this one.